Hi, today I'm going to show you how to make quick mozzarella. Even though the video is a little bit long, it has all the details you need to make your own cheese. One thing I learned is that cheese is all about details. Be precise, follow the steps, and you're going to have an amazing cheese. I promise you, enjoy it. And what you need is a stainless steel pan. This is a 8-quart pan with a thermometer that I already have set up there and there. You need a slotted stainless steel spoon, also stainless steel. This is what I use for cake, for decoration. I like it to just cut the curd later on. Just a bowl that we use for microwaving. Glass is a good option. And a stainless steel colander. I'm going to use my measuring cup to measure 4 liters of milk, if it's pasteurized or if it is and homogenized. Otherwise, I'm going to do 6 liters of milk from the farm. We need a bowl of cold water, and I'll add ice to it later on, where I'm going to place my cheese when it's done there. You need distilled water to dissolve all the ingredients to make your cheese. Also kosher salt that we're going to be using towards the end, 1 teaspoon. So first I'm going to, once I pour the milk, I'll let it reach 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoon of citric acid. I'm just using this one. It can be any citric acid. Then I'm going to add the lipase, and this is the lipase I'm using. I'll add an 1/8 teaspoon. I already dissolved it in here, and I like to let it sit for 20 to 30 minutes before I add to my milk. Calcium chloride, if your milk is homogenized, then you have to add calcium chloride. And in this case, I would add 1/4 teaspoon in one. All of those there is like a 1/4 cup of water, and all of them I like labeling them so I know which one, especially because you want to dissolve them ahead of time, the lipase. And then the rennet right here, and all the ingredients I got from newenglandcheesemaking.com. This vegetable rennet, and I only use half, and they already come. They already come, you see, with the squares there, so you can cut right away in half very easily. So first I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoon of citric acid and 1/4 cup of water. And I'm going to mix it to make sure it dissolves completely. And as soon as it reaches, my milk reaches 55 Fahrenheit, I'm going to add the citric acid. Completely dissolved. I like to look at the bottom and see if it's really well dissolved. Okay. Here, it should be very close, so I'm going to turn it off. If you look at there, I'm at 54, but as I stir the milk, I think it will go to 55. Yep. So that's how I stir it. And you could just leave your milk outside and wait it reaches naturally 55 Fahrenheit, but I'm in a hurry and I always add just medium heat. Any process here that I have to heat up, I'm at medium heat, and I have a gas stove, so that's important because as soon as I turn it off, it won't keep heating up my pot, so I don't have to remove the pot of the burner. While if you're using the coils that is still warm when you turn it off, you would have to remove it from the burner so it doesn't keep heating up your milk. So I'm going So as I reached 55, and you can see on the thermometer here by this stove, I'm just giving one more stir in the milk, just gently. And I'm going to add the citric acid. And you just give a good stir, maybe a minute. And after I stir well, I'm going to add the lipase. So here's the lipase, already dissolved here, and I'm going to pour it in there. And again, mix it really well. At this time is when I would go and add the calcium chloride, which is 1/4 teaspoon in a 1/4 cup of water, again distilled water. And I'm not going to, because I'm using no homogenized milk, so that's only for a homogenized milk. So I don't need that step in here. So it's well mixed. I'm going to now increase the temperature to 90 degrees first. Medium heat. So we're going to watch and wait until I reach 90 degrees. Then I'm going to add rennet, I have half a tablet dissolved in a 1/4 cup of water right here. And you want to dissolve it just like a few minutes before. I would say when you're like in your 80s, degrees Fahrenheit, that's when you quickly dissolve it, so it's freshly dissolved to be added to the milk. I like to pour it through my slotted spoon. You stir it for less than a minute, and then we're going to wait 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. You leave it resting. When I use I use pasteurized and homogenized milk, I leave it for 10 minutes to set the curd better. This one in 5 minutes is pretty much done. So I'm just giving a nice stir. If you have access to non-pasteurized milk, your cheese will be way better in terms of flavor and everything. So the curd is already actually setting, and you can see it so nicely when you have a non-pasteurized milk. Let me see if you can actually see it, but it already changed. See how it's different? Well, I'm going to just put the lid on. It's 90 degrees. I like the thermometer because I can still keep track of the temperature. Never changes, but it's nice to keep track. I like it. Yes. Okay. Like I said, I always use a pasteurized milk, so I am so impressed. The difference is amazing. Thank you to Aunt Bonnie that gave me her milk. This is amazing. Look at the curd. It's just really, really amazing. Okay, I'll remove my thermometer, and I'm going to cut the curd now. And if you need, you could leave 10 minutes, but I don't need. My curd is set. apply medium heat. So I mean medium, like I told you, I have gas. And there's the thermometer. We're just going to watch, and when I get, well, my thermometer has to be inside, right? So we can actually watch it. You see 90, should be 90 right now, and it's going to go up. When it's 105, I'm going to come back. So I reached 105, and it's varying between 105 and 106, which is not a big deal. Depending on what kind of process you're going to use, microwave or a water bath, to make your mozzarella, then you use, maybe you, like if you don't use microwave, you have to actually go to up to 110. So not big deal, go a little bit above. Here it's amazing again because I got no pasteurized milk. You get, the mozzarella is pretty much ready here. It's amazing. If you have a pasteurized milk, you'll see you barely can touch the curd. You get pieces everywhere. You have to maybe use even a cheesecloth to get it through. Right now I can just use the colander. It's just perfect, and it's one big blob. We are going to let it sit for 5 minutes. What I like to do, I just use my thermometer and I stick in between, inside the blob, just my cheese, just to kind of see at which temperature we are at. And let's see if I can do it. So I like to just stick in there. Right now it says like 102, so I like to leave it in there. That's why I like to just leave it inside for about 5 minutes to really increase a little bit the temperature of the curd. So I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes, and we're going to come back and pour everything in my colander. Okay, so just again, one more note. When you're heating up to 105, you try to not mix too much. You don't want to break the curd. You want it to be one big piece and not have your water full of little pieces. So now I have this one big piece. What you could do, you just could go with your slide of the spoon and pick it up and pour in your colander. But because, like I said, this cheese is just amazing, it's just all together already, there's no pieces here and there, I'm going to just pour that directly in my colander. I never did this before. This is the first time that this happened to me. If you're using pasteurized milk, homogenized milk too, which usually they're both, then you're going to, you may need, you kind of have to judge. If your pieces are smaller than the holes, that you're going to lose some cheese, then you have to use a cheesecloth or a muslin cloth, which is what I used for mine when I did pasteurized milk. Not every time. Sometimes I used, sometimes I didn't. So I'm just getting all the little pieces in my pan so I don't waste anything. Now I'm going to remove the remaining way, so you have the cheese here. I'm going to just turn it so gravity can help me. Here we go. Just turn it. It makes it easier. And if you have a cheesecloth, you may have to just squeeze the cheesecloth and not do this. So this part is kind of depending on the milk you have. You can do something different. You see, mine is perfect. It's already all there. I will barely have to knead it. And so I will just transfer now my cheese that is pretty much made to this bowl here. And I'll put in the microwave for 1 minute in 60% power. Okay, so after I microwaved for a minute and 60% power, because my microwave is above 1000 watts, so Here you can see there's some way we're going to pour in my colander. I'm using gloves because it can get really hot. But to be honest, this is not really hot because this cheese is already pretty much come together. So I don't have to heat up as much as if it was a pasteurized milk. And this is kosher salt, 1 teaspoon that I like to add. I'm going to pour some of the way again. Just knead it a little bit. I'm just trying to incorporate the salt really right now. My cheese is done. Almost done. Not done yet, but it's unbelievable. I have to make now another video with the pasteurized milk. There's quite a bit of whey. You want to get it all out. If you don't get it all out, especially if it's pasteurized, it's not going to become mozzarella cheese. You're going to have just paste, which happened to me and I was still able to use for filling in different type of pastas, or even to make lasagna. Instead of using ricotta, you just use that mozzarella paste. So it works well. So now I'm going to put again in the microwave for about 45 seconds. Again, 60% power. And I'll come back. I'm again pouring the whey out, squeezing it. You can tell how the texture of my cheese is very different already. So as you can, I would just knead it a little bit, just to even the temperature throughout the cheese. I already have my mozzarella here. If you can see, I already completely changed the texture, the shyness. It's so shiny and it's already super stretchy. See that, and that's how you know if your cheese is ready. You're going to stretch it. I'm going to do now, so I make my balls. As soon as it cools down a little bit, it's not as easily playful, I would say. You know, it's harder to get it into balls and get them back together. They won't. You see, they will stay not together. So I'll heat up for just like 15 seconds in normal power, just so I can get them together again, and then I'll make the balls. Pour a little bit of the whey. There's almost nothing left. I'll knead it a little bit. Actually, I'm going to add another 15 seconds so I can put it. It melts a little bit and I can make the balls more easily. So another 15 seconds in the microwave. And I'll make it in a ball shape, and I'll put in this water that I already put ice inside and it already melted. But once they're cool enough, I'm going to then place here with some paper towel just to absorb a little bit of the extra moisture. And then I'll remove it and transfer to another bowl. Okay, our 15 seconds are full power again, just to get this more melted. You can see it's really, and it's really hot right now, and I have 3 gloves, okay? Yeah, it's super hot. Because to make the balls nicer, it's better, you see. Ooh, it's hot. Okay, I'm going to pour a little bit. Beautiful cheese, isn't it? I'm going to break in half. And you see how stretched it is? It's hard to break in half. So, actually, no. I'm going to break in 3 parts. So let's put it together. Again, you see, it's so easy right now to put it together that, ooh, hot. Because it's all hot, so it comes together very easily. So I'm going to do this one that is kind of in the shape of a ball already. A ball. So you make like this kind of a pear shape. Then it's kind of slippery. It's very hot. But I like when it's really, really solid. So see, my ball is round, and as soon as I put there, it will cool off really fast, and will keep the shape. And I'll add a little bit more ice to keep it cooler and not lose the shape. Like this one is already done. Okay, this is my final product. I made 1, 2, 3.5 batches, and I already ate one of those and almost this one entirely. Otherwise I'll have another one here, but that's my final product, and each batch is a little over 500 grams. I did 1.5 with 612 grams. And that's what I'm looking for, a very solid piece. And it's so soft, you can feel how soft it is. You can see it's not, doesn't break easily. It's just so soft when you put it in your mouth. Totally worth making it.